Okay guys, so we are going to be talking about how to ride a dirt bike. If you've never ridden anything in your life, this is the video for you. I'm going to be breaking it down for beginners, but don't worry, if you guys are a little more advanced, I'll put chapters in the video so you can just kind of skip ahead. So this is a 2002 Suzuki RM250 two-stroke. Like I said, this bike's old, so if you can ride this bike, you can ride any bike. The first thing you're going to need to know is what this is right here. This is how you control the fuel. This is called a petcock, guys. So basically, there's two positions on this. Right now it's off, so you're going to want to switch that to on. And basically what that does is it allows gas to come from the gas tank into the carburetor. So if you leave that off while you're riding, your bike is going to shut off. Yeah, so make sure you have the fuel on, guys. Over here is our choke. So if you want the choke on, basically what this is for is when you start the bike, it's just for cold starts. You only leave it on for like on two strokes, like, you know, a few seconds, and then you turn it off. So basically what you do is when you go to start it, if it's not starting when it's cold, just push this up, it'll click like that, and then when it starts, just turn it off. And that's basically our choke. Right here is our gear selector, guys, on the left side. And what this does is it allows you to select gears. This is a 5-speed transmission, so it's 1 down, 4 up. If you wanted to get to first gear, what you would do is you'd slap the gear selector down towards the ground, and that would be, you'd be in first gear. If you want to go to second gear, you'd go up, third, up, fourth, fifth, up. So if you guys wanted to get to neutral, so neutral's in the middle of first and second gear. Just go a half click up. Basically how you know you're in neutral is the wheel's going to spin freely when you're in neutral. And if you're not in neutral, just put it in second, it's going to not spin freely like that. The easiest way to get the bike in neutral, guys, is just slap the gear selector all the way down with your foot. It's all the way down until it can't go down anymore. Then go a half click up like that, and it's going to put you in neutral. So at first you're probably going to go a full click up and go into second by mistake. A lot of people do that. It's kind of a common mistake people make. Okay, then up here is our clutch, guys. This is our clutch right here. I'm going to get into that more. That's really important. This red button is to turn the engine off. This is our engine kill switch. So it's pretty much everything you need to know on this side. Let me come to this side, guys. And this is the right side of the bike. And I'm talking right and left as if you're on the bike, guys. Pretty sure all you guys know what this is. This is our throttle. And our front brake is up here by our throttle. This is our front brake near the front tire. And then back here is our back brake closer to the rear tire. So front brake, back brake. And then right here this is our Kickstarter. It's in the name, kind of. You kick it and it starts. That's why it's called a Kickstarter, guys. So that's our Kickstarter. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything you need to know off of the bike. I'm gonna go ahead and hop on it, guys. We're gonna start getting into it like that. So the easiest way to get on the bike, guys, is come on the left side of the bike, have your left hand right here, grab the front brake and throw your leg over just like that, and now you're on the bike. The throttle and the clutch are going to be like the most important things to kind of how to control the bike. If you guys have ever heard of whiskey throttle, this kind of gets people in trouble. They get on it, they freak out, and they just kind of go. So yeah, just this is the throttle right here. Remember I told you all the shifting and everything's going to be done on the left where our clutch and our gear selector is? Well, all the braking is going to be done on the right side of the bike, guys. And I'm going to get into that more and kind of tell you which one you want to use in certain situations and all that stuff. So make sure you guys stick around for that. Now, you guys kind of know everything. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fire the bike up, guys. So basically what you're going to do to fire the bike up, guys, pull your Kickstarter out. I already have it like this. Just bring it out in the out position like that. I don't have the choke on because I don't need to right now, but if you did have it on, just make sure you turn it off after you start it. You literally just kick this down and it starts the bike. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure you're in neutral. Like I said, rock back and forth, we're in neutral. You can start it in gear, but it's going to be easier if you're a beginner just to kind of start it in neutral so you don't have to worry about all that. Just make sure it's all the way at the top and just get a solid kick. All right, guys, so I found an open area to talk about. This is where we're going to practice the friction zone right here, okay? Now this right here is what's going to make you a good rider, especially out here if you're in the trails and you're doing tight maneuvers in and out of trees and stuff like that and you're in the trails. What you're going to want to master is something called the friction zone, and this is going to take the longest, guys. So take a deep breath, be patient. Basically what the friction zone is, guys, is when I release the clutch, it's that point where the bike starts to roll. That's what the friction zone is. That's what's going to make you a good rider. So you never just want to dump the clutch, but when you have the clutch in, this disengages the engine. This pretty much cuts the power. When you have the clutch out, then you have power. So if I hit the throttle and I was in gear, I'd be moving. But if I had the clutch in, hit the throttle, I wouldn't go anywhere. So having the clutch in is essentially like neutral. Yeah, so basically what you're going to want to practice is that friction zone. I'm going to show you guys what to do. And this is gonna take the most time. Practice this in an open area. What you want to practice is this. Put it in gear, first gear. Remember, first gear is down towards the ground. You're gonna practice that point. See how the bike starts idling a lot lower? I'm getting into that friction zone where it wants to start releasing. See this point right here where I'm rolling? Just like that. That's called the friction zone. That's what you want to master. You got to master that, like this. Just like that. Practice that. Use your feet to kind of guide you too a little bit. Do that for like however long it takes you. It takes people, sometimes this takes people a lot longer than others. So what you're probably going to do is this. You're probably going to do that. So the reason why that happens is because you're just dumping the clutch. So just like this. You don't need that much throttle, just a little bit. Just like that. See how I'm starting to roll? Just like that. And then when you start rolling, you can let it out and start going. And every time you shift, I just shifted up. You don't want to just shift and then dump the clutch either. You want a smooth transition, I would say. And that's going to teach you to be a good rider, because basically what riding is, especially this kind of riding, is a lot of clutch control, controlling that friction zone. Especially it's kind of like you're doing, like if you're doing tight maneuvers, like if I was doing circles around the street, that would be all the friction zone and the back brake. So and the throttle, of course, too. Basically you want to practice that, okay? I know the idle is a little high. I turned it up because I didn't want it to shut off. However long it takes you, just sit there and practice, you know? There's no rush. Another thing is you're gonna need to get used to how sensitive this is. The biggest mistake when people do this is they give it too much gas and they dump the clutch and the bike goes flying. That's because, like I said, this disengages the engine, this engages the engine. If you give it too much gas and then you let the clutch go, you're gonna go flying. That's step number one, is learn the friction zone, guys. So just go back and forth, practice, even use your feet to kind of guide you. Push the bike a little bit and just practice this right here. However long it takes you. What you're going to do is you're probably going to stall out a lot, but that's normal. And if you don't get it, come back the next day, you know? It's a learning process. So that's the friction zone, guys. And now that's going to take us into how to shift. I'm going to start going here. So if you guys learned anything or you're enjoying this video, smash the like button right now. So I'm in first gear, okay? And this terrain's getting rough, so what I'm going to do is stand up, kind of make it easier on me, just let the bike do all the work. So basically what you're going to want to do is, I'm going to go a little faster. The RPMs are going to raise. So the RPMs are going to raise, and then you're going to shift, basically. So like I just did there, that was kind of fast. I'll give you a better example, but man, the power band on these things are awesome. Now when you shift, what you're going to want to do is remember I talked about that gear pattern? That's where you're going to need to know now. So I'm in first. You see how the RPMs get higher? I shift up into second, they get lower. So basically you're just feeding the bike to go faster. So, you know, it's the same with every gear. Like if I'm in second gear, the RPMs get higher, same thing. Just shift up to third, you know? And then if you're going too slow, basically like I'm going to go into third. So I'm in third. See how the RPMs are way too low for me to be going that speed. So you want to have your gear adjusted correctly to the speed you're going, if that makes sense. So if I'm going like really slow and I'm just starting out, I want to be in first gear. First gear is basically just for starting. That's really all it is. So yeah, you just want to practice shifting. And as you shift, guys, let the clutch out easy. So this is really cool. This is kind of hard to show you guys all the gears because I'm in like the trails, you know. But basically, you know, you got the point. Just right here, the bike's getting higher. Shift up to second, it gets lower. You're just basically feeding the bike to go faster. That's all that is. Okay, guys, real quick, I just wanted to mention before we move on, anytime you guys are shifting gears or touching the gear selector, make sure that you pull in the clutch first. The clutch allows you to change gears, so just make sure that before you shift gears, pull in the clutch and then shift. And then also too, you can do this thing called downshifting / engine braking, but we're gonna rip it just a little bit. That right there is downshifting. I use the back brake and get out of the apex of that turn. You got to be careful doing this. You don't want to be going like in 5th gear, 4th gear, going pretty fast and downshifting to 1st, you know. You really don't want to be downshifting into 1st much. 1st gear is just for like pretty much just starting off. So I'm going to go into 2nd right now. All right, I'm going too fast. Downshift, I actually went into 1st. So you can if you're at lower speeds, but basically what that's going to do is it's going to do this thing called engine braking. The RPMs are going to brake for you, basically. And that's called engine braking, basically. So yeah, you don't have to always use your brakes. You can kind of use the engine to brake. Now, this is a 2-stroke, so as you guys know, the oil's in the gas. Yes, you can engine brake on a 2-stroke. People think you can't, but what you don't want to do is, this is only for a 2-stroke. You don't want to go down a hill and like 1st gear and the RPMs are going for like a long period of time, because the oil in the gas lubricates the cylinder and the piston, and if you do that, you're basically going to be leaning it out, and that's not good for the engine. So after you guys learn shifting and mastering that, remember, it all comes down to that friction zone. Now what I'm going to teach you is a little bit about turning, okay? So or cornering / turning, whatever you want to call it. On a dirt bike, your legs are your best friend, because you can use your legs to kind of be like your safety net, pretty much. Like this, if I'm turning, leg gun, and then gas it out of the turn, like right here, use my leg, and then gas it out of the apex of that turn. So basically the apex of the turn is as you're leaving the turn, as you're coming out of the turn, you gas it out of it. That's called the apex of the turn. So that's a good cornering tip. So you can just use your leg to kind of guide you like this. It's just like a safety net, you know. On a crotch rocket, you wouldn't want to do that, but on a dirt bike, that's what it's all about, man. So that's cornering, guys. It's really, really rocky over here. Remember, stand up, let that suspension do the work. Don't like just let it kill you, you know. Let that suspension do the work, man. That's what these things are made for. But so I'm turning here like this, just like that. It's a little faster than I wanted to go. So just like this, turn and put my leg out, boom. And you don't have to put your leg out every time. Just when you like, you know, it's just like a guide, pretty much. Because these things, you know, these things go out of control, especially these 2-strokes when that power band hits. So it's nice to just have your leg down as like a safety net, pretty much. And that's all that is, guys. Practice doing this, just like this. Kind of get used to maneuvering in and out of the, so like just kind of like if the tree's right there, just kind of maneuver out of the way. Easy, you know. Just get used to kind of just maneuvering your bike. Get used to that, because you're going to have to do that a lot, especially on dirt bikes in the trails. You know, you can research and research and research, but experience is going to be the most key to all of this, guys. Experience is key. We all learn at a different rate. The biggest thing is, just stalled out, but the biggest thing is, guys, is don't get discouraged. This all just takes time. That's all it really is time. Terrain's getting a little rough. I stand up. So right here, I put my leg down, kind of just go through it. Same thing over here. Boom, rip through it. Do a little wheelie, you know. I think you guys are getting the point. When you're on a dirt bike, you're going to find yourself using the back brake a lot. The back brake is what you're going to primarily use on a dirt bike, because the front brake actually has a lot more power. Watch, I'm going to use it right here. I'm going to stop on a dime. You see that? But that's because, you know, all the weight's going forward. Practice using your brakes, but get used to using your back brake. Like right here, I have the clutch pulled in. I'm just using my back brake, kind of feathering it, clutch out. You know, so practice that. You want to get used to getting in the combination of using the throttle and the clutch, basically, and the back brake. That's really how you ride. Remember I told you, you always want to use that back brake if you're in a turn, right, and something comes up on you pretty quick, like a tree or something, what you're not going to want to do, this is what a lot of people do, is if you are leaned over, do not, I'm going to repeat it again, do not hit your front brake, because what's going to happen is you're going to go down because you don't have traction, because you're leaned over, you don't have full traction on the dirt, and you're going to go down instantly. So instead of you hitting the front brake while you're leaned over, instead of like doing this because you're going to fall, that's going to happen like that. That's literally what's going to happen. You see how I almost fell? I wanted to show you guys that. Now, if I was leaned over like this, and I had a tree in front of me or something, and I needed a brake or something, well, first off, you got to make a decision. Are you going to swerve out of the way, or are you going to brake with your front brake or your back brake? If you use the front brake, because you can't do both. You can swerve and use the back brake, I guess, but you can't swerve and hit the front brake because you're going to go down like I just showed you. But what you can do is, if you're leaned over like this, if your foot down, something pops up on you, I'd recommend just swerving out of the way if you can. But if you can't do that, you would want to straighten the bike out and then immediately brake. And that front brake's going to give you a lot of that power to brake. So that's what you'd want to do. And the reason for that is because if I hit the front brake and I'm straight up and down, like not leaned over, then I'm going to get the full traction and I'm not going to fall. So that's basically how you'd want to do that. So that's kind of braking / emergency braking. Just get used to feathering that back brake, using that friction zone, and, you know, kind of getting used to that throttle. That's really what's going to make you a good rider. I recommend just using your back brake as much as you can. One of the best tips I could give you guys is developing good habits so you're not really thinking, you're just reacting, you know? Because if you're thinking too much, it just kind of takes the fun out of it, you know? But in the beginning, that's what you kind of have to do, is you're thinking a lot, you know? You're thinking about where everything is, because it's a lot of information. This is a good turn right here. Look, put my foot down, gas it out of that turn. Whew. See, that came up on me pretty quick. I had to see that. I had to react really quick. What did I do? Hit the brakes, stood up, and let the bike take it. What just happened is a prime example of why you want to develop good habits on a motorcycle. That right there sums it up for you, man. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this video. That is how you ride a dirt bike. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys leave a like on the video. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave it in the comment section and I'll answer every question I can. If you guys want to subscribe, click this button right here. If you guys want to watch another video, click this over here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.